Sometimes the kids are like, they're like, well, what's better, Carson Ranch or Power Fitness? And they kind of like go off like that, right? So I'm like, no, it's not like two separate businesses. It's like we are both working, we're a team working on each business. But you obviously spend more time on Carson Ranch. I spend more time with Power Fitness. So trying to kind of get that straight. And even if it's not a business, even if it's just an interest, I think it's important to give your spouse room to be able to pursue their interest and to support them.
Welcome to the Carla Rand Show, a weekly podcast designed to dig into the lives of everyday people. People who are making a positive impact, people who have risen above and overcome obstacles. Insights and stories from ordinary individuals who inspire us all towards the truly extraordinary. Here's your host.
Hey, it's Carla, and I'm here with my husband, Jason. I've been trying to get him on my podcast for a very long time. So, Jason, thanks for being in here today.
Thank you for having me.
It's very exciting. And we decided what we would do is we would ask people questions. So we got questions from our listeners, and I'll tell you what that is, but I just want to remind you quick that the Carla Rand Show is really about helping you get fit, and that's physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. So talking about our relationship will hopefully help you in one way or another to just be like fit mentally, emotionally, that kind of stuff. So the question we got from Christine, one of our listeners, was, how do you support each other's interests? And this is really an interesting one for us because this is something we really struggle with. So let's start by just kind of talking about our interests. Sound good?
Sure.
So let's just talk first about your interests. What are you interested in, Jason?
Well, I'm interested in you. I'm interested in the kids. I really enjoy being outside. I enjoy getting exercise, but I really enjoy working with horses and cattle, specifically trying to build our own place up. Trying to get more land, trying to get more animals. I just really enjoy, working with the stock and building up Carson Ranch to be the best it can be. So I enjoy selling bulls, enjoy weaning calves, just riding horses, roping, all that kind of stuff. Really enjoy that.
Yeah, and I was thinking we should have flipped this, and you should have told me what I was interested in. I should have said what you were interested in. But anyways, right. I'll go next. I basically like very similar to you. I like to be outside. I like to be active. I like to be fit. It's really important to me. I love just like you love running Carson Ranch and like growing cattle. I love running Power Fitness, the Carla Rand Show, and just like helping as many people as I can on their fitness journey, with their emotional health, with their mental health, like spiritual health, like as much as I can, just really helping each individual. So I'm super passionate about that. Obviously, I love the kids. I enjoy the farm too. I like to go riding, but I like to do it more as like a hobby, more kind of like on the side and less like, let's do that every day, right? I think we used to do it more every day. And I guess that's where supporting each other's interests has become a bit of a challenge. So let's talk a little bit about what's been challenging about it, because I think that might be interesting for the people that are listening to kind of hear the real and raw part of how Carla and Jason struggle with this.
Yeah, well, we can kind of keep it with 4 things that we feel help each other, but just to understand the context of this all. This became a source of tension as we're each going into our own direction, kind of with us changing our roles as husband and wife. So
now I'm the husband, you're the wife. No.
She wears the pants. Well, with us not having kids anymore.
Not having young little kids anymore and not still having babies.
Not having new babies.
We didn't get rid of our kids.
Yeah, no new more babies, I think. Carla has been having babies for the last 15 years, and she was at home all the time, and I would just kind of leave, do my thing, do my work thing, come home, and she'd like have meals and laundry and all that stuff. Now the kids are older, she started her own business. We're starting to share more of that kind of stuff. So I'm starting to do more of that. And with that kind of comes a bit of a tension, which we're still trying to figure out. But the reason we're talking about it is because I am doing that kind of thing, because she's doing her thing, she is getting more and more zoned in on her business, and I am kind of going more on my direction, and we sometimes seem like we're going separate ways, sometimes.
Well, and we noticed that because we're like, okay, Jason, ultimately we both have a business, right? Yeah. But I like to think of it as we are a team and we have 2 businesses. So we have Carson Ranch as a business, and this is what the kids do. Sometimes the kids are like, well, what's better, Carson Ranch or Power Fitness? And they kind of like go off like that, right? So I'm like, no, it's not like 2 separate businesses. It's like we are both working, we're a team working on each business. But you obviously spend more time on Carson Ranch. I spend more time with Power Fitness. So trying to kind of get that straight. And even if it's not a business, even if it's just an interest, like you love golfing, you love to go out with go hiking with your friend, whatever it is, whatever the interest is, I think it's important to give your spouse room to be able to pursue their interest and to support them. And I think that's been challenging because I always just did whatever you did, right? We were both looking after the kids. We were both pursuing the ranch, the farm. And I would teach a few fitness classes because I've been doing this for 20 years. So I was teaching classes, but it was just kind of here and there. It wasn't like a consistent day in and day out kind of thing. And now that it is, it's changed a lot.
Right. And I'm not texting, by the way. I'm just looking at my notes. We talked about 4 main things that we felt were kind of important for supporting each other's interests. First one was just respecting the choices that we make. So just respecting the fact that, you really enjoy this, the lights, the drama,
the lights, the camera, the action.
All that kind of stuff, the people on the stage, you enjoy that part of it. And that's good. And I just need to respect that, right? Because you maybe weren't that way before. I didn't notice that. And then you obviously need to hopefully respect my interest too, and that I'm developing that and I'm still passionate about that, even though it might seem so simple to you.
Well, it's not simple. It's just different. It's not as complicated. There's not as many moving parts, I guess.
Yeah.
And because I'm an extrovert, I can only spend so much time outside by myself with the cows or fencing.
Right.
Right? I prefer to have, I don't know, just to be with people.
Yeah.
So that's the big difference, I think, with us. I think you're more of an introvert. I'm more of an extrovert. So I like the hype. I like the people. I like large groups. Whereas you're like, I want to go out riding on my horse, checking cows for hours at a time, and I'm perfectly happy doing that.
Granted, I am with people a lot, like all day as a teacher.
True.
People all the time. So sometimes I just do my alone time where I'm just doing some very basic stuff and just me and my thoughts and my wind tunnel, and it's all good. Anyways, so yeah, showing respect, and we also talked about
showing respect because the other person's interests are just as important as yours.
Yes.
They're just not as important to you.
Right.
Yeah.
And showing, providing support. So not only saying that's really nice that you want to do that, I'm going to do my thing, actually supporting each other. So helping out whether, it was teaching classes or
being on the podcast today.
There you go.
He's on the podcast today.
Doing some exercise videos with you guys.
Yeah.
Helping with the one-on-one training, or just even with doing that fitness cooking kind of meal prep.
Yeah, Jason's helped a lot because we used to film a workout every single week. You also helped with one of my events where you did like a little meal prep demo. And I've done a few Facebook Lives too where I've just been like, okay, Jason's going to show how he's doing this or something. And then like just being on the podcast today, and even just like picking up some of the slack at home, right? Like if I'm not there, sometimes you'll get groceries. You never used to get groceries that much. Sometimes you'll get groceries, sometimes you'll make a meal, sometimes you'll just kind of do whatever needs to be done. Take the kids to different activities. So your role has really changed, and you have supported me, because if you didn't do some of that, there's no way I could do what I'm doing.
Yeah, thank you. And vice versa, like Carla's always been really good about if it's processing cattle days, she'll come out, or if we have to chase animals, or if suddenly at the drop of a hat, something gets out, or even calving time, just taking a peek at them or whatever. So yeah, I appreciate that. The third thing we talked about was encouraging and building up. So not just saying, that's really nice you're doing that, I'll help with you all the time, but actually like verbally encouraging and saying, Carla, you're doing a really good job, or I really noticed how you did this with that lady, or how you seem so empathetic, or whatever. Like just being genuinely encouraging of your spouse or your partner, of saying, and not just like, yay, good for you, but like being intentionally encouraging, I think goes a long way, because it makes it just shows that I validate what you're doing, and that I'm supporting you.
And it means a lot to me, because you would always say things like, oh, thanks for supper, thanks for making the meal. And I appreciate that, but I didn't really like making supper. And I didn't feel like it was really fantastic. So as much as I appreciate that, but when you kind of affirm me or encourage me in an area where I'm really striving and that I'm really excited about it, it means so much, right? Yeah. It'd be like me saying, thanks for working for us today. That's nice, like you appreciate it, versus, man, you're sure a good roper, or man, those cows look good this year, right? Yeah. It's a different kind of thing. So I think being able to point those things out, like you said, and encouraging your partner, even if it's an area where you don't necessarily care, like maybe you don't really care, or I don't care if you're really a great roper, or you don't really care how I'm connecting with people, genuinely, but you go out of your way to care.
Yeah, a compliment to something that you're really passionate about goes a long way and means a lot more than if it's just kind of off the cuff. So yeah, supporting each other. Last one we kind of talked about was...
Yeah, he's got it down here.
I've got it down here. Focusing on the present and the future of how that relationship's been. So candidly speaking, we've not always maybe done the best job in supporting each other in our interests. And instead of always talking with your partner about, yeah, well, in the past, you know, how this is this and this and this and this, or yeah, but you didn't, blah, blah, blah. Dragging up the past isn't really helpful. I mean, we learn from the past, but just focusing on, okay, this is where we are right now. So how can we look to the future and say, you know, how can I be a support to you? Or right now, how can I help you? Instead of just always being like, well, it's never going to get better, or in the past, it didn't work out. Like, look beyond that. Look to how you can improve on what we were already doing. Because I hope we figure this interest thing out. In 5 years, we have it even better than we have it right now. Because it's still not perfect. There's still days of tension, and how do we balance this?
Yeah, but I think it's cool because when I look back, I think we've made a lot of progress, and now we're able to like actually sit down and have conversations about it. And I think that is really valuable to be able to say. And I mean, we've had to dig deep because both of us haven't been really good at really sharing where we're actually at. We tend to be more just like, yeah, it's all good, I'll handle it. Very independent, right? And I think like when we can say, hey, no, we're struggling here. What's going on? Like, how do you not feel valued right now? How do you not feel respected? How do you not feel loved right now? To be able to actually like talk about those things. And I think for like, we really have to push each other to do that, because otherwise it's like, no, it's all fine, but it's not fine. And then you get bitter and problems keep popping up. And then you start bringing up the past, right?
Yeah. These 4 things mean squat if you're not communicating that to your partner. So I might be thinking all these 4 things, but if I don't actually say that to her, to Carla, then she doesn't know where I'm coming from. So I often assume that you know that on Thursday we had to move cattle, or on, you know, wintertime is preg checking, or whatever it is. But if I don't communicate that to you, even though it's in my mind and it's organized and we have our separate lives, if I don't communicate that, then that's where a big part of the tension comes in. So I can support you better when I talk through things, and I don't always communicate the best.
That's been a huge problem for us, is communication. Just really like, tell me what you're doing.
Or I think I've communicated it, but you haven't picked it up
Yeah.
for some reason.
Yeah, and maybe I'm distracted when you're talking to me and vice versa, right? But just really say, hey, like, what's going on? Because that's what happens, especially with cattle. There's already enough things with weather, with calving, with, you know, trying to put hay up and all that. There's already enough things that are like, you know, move and shift.
Too many variables, yeah.
Just so many variables. So if we can at least nail a few things down, or at least try to, that's really helpful. Especially now that I'm so busy, because I used to just be there. I mean, it sounds bad, but basically that's your beck and call, right? Carla, can you meet me down here and do this? Whatever. Kids in tow, we go, we do what we have to do, right?
Oh,
but now
those
I'm
are
like,
the days.
those were the days. And you want those days back in a way, but you've had to be like, I don't think that's going to happen anymore.
Not getting those days back, no. But the cool thing is the kids can help out more now. And we can both model to the kids how we're treating each other, because when they were younger, they just did whatever we did. Now they can see how you and I react when we're both kind of doing our separate things, which I think is important for when they have spouses and they have different interests. How do we model that? Is it just one or the other, or is it just like, don't do what mom and dad did because I always fought about it?
Yeah. Yeah, I think being able to support each other's interests in a healthy way is super important. And I think it's a big issue for a lot of couples. Like Christine brought it up, but I think it's a big issue because I was talking actually to a few ladies today, and we were talking about some of that tension. And I think a lot of times, yeah, like we have an interest, and you know, your spouse has an interest. And if those interests are different, it can be like, well, you're spending too much time on this. Well, you're spending too much time on that. Well, you know, blah, 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 blah. And it can become almost a competition. I think we have to be really careful it doesn't become a competition.
Right. And I think when we're having that conversation of how much time we're spending with yours or mine, we realize, okay, what is our number one priority? What's something we can agree on? And that is, the kids need to take the priority. Like, because you can be doing amazing on your stuff, I can be doing amazing on my stuff, and the kids are lost in the shuffle, and that's no good. Mm-hmm. So that has to take, so you have to figure out what your priority is, whether it's, you know, your job, or your kids, your family. That's a big one, because that can get lost in the shuffle too. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, and it's a balance, It's a challenge. But anyways, I hope that's helpful. I've enjoyed just having this conversation with you, Jason, just being able to talk about it, talk through this. I think it's just helpful for us to like go back there and be like, yeah, are we actually doing what we said we were going to do? Because it's easy to write down these little notes and be like, here's how you support your spouse in their interests. But it's another thing to actually do it, right? So I want to get better at that. I want to get better at affirming you. And so right now I'm going to affirm you, and I'm going to tell you that, You are a good roper, darn better roper than I am.
Well, thank you. I still have all my fingers, so I'm okay.
Yeah. But you do have a really bad scar from the branding. That was really nasty. But anyways, you didn't lose your arm, so that's good. And you are a really good husband. You always try to think, okay, what does Carla want right now? What does she need, right? You really do try. And with the kids too, like you're a great dad. Like you try to play with them. You're always thinking, oh, I didn't spend time with the kids. And yes, there are sometimes like a week or so that goes by where we just really don't connect much because we're both super busy, but we always come back and say, okay, this has got to change. We got to reevaluate, right? So I appreciate that.
Thank you.
And you're getting better at communicating too, a little bit.
Good.
I kind of hold your feet to the fire on them.
No, that's good. And Carla, as all your listeners know, she's very good at making people feel comfortable, making them feel safe, pushing them, which is good because you need to be pushed. And just having that joy about her, right? She's just radiant. She's just, So that's good. And I appreciate that about you.
Thank you. I think it's funny sometimes when you're like, yeah, Carla, just chatter at me.
Oh,
go ahead. I like to hear you chatter. I'm like, what am I, like a bird or a squirrel?
Oh, it's nice. Yeah.
No, thank you. That's nice. I appreciate that.
And you're really good looking too.
Thanks, honey.
I had to mention that.
Yeah. All right. Well, I won't go on, but thank you guys for watching. I hope it was helpful. And thanks, Jason, for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning into the podcast today. I absolutely love that you joined us. I love being able to record these, and I love our guests. It's been so much fun. So thank you. Please like it, share it, comment, do all of the things that you feel like you want to do if you enjoyed this podcast. I really, really appreciate that. And this podcast has been brought to you by my company, Power Fitness Online. So everything that we do locally with our workouts, with our group nutrition coaching, and with all of the other fun events and stuff that we run, we put all of that online. So now you can access everything, even if you're not locally, don't live in our area. So my coaches and I and all my staff, the whole team, we are putting so much work into these workouts. We're filming 5 fresh workouts every single week so that you never have to do the same workout twice. We're also doing group nutrition and personal nutrition coaching so that you get exactly what you need. And you know what the best part is? It's the community. The absolute best part is just knowing that you have the support, that you have the encouragement, that you have everything you need to succeed. So go to powerfitnessonline.com.